Greetings to all of you, my dear sisters and brothers and my dear friends, and all of you are welcome to my new broadcasting of Be Committed, the study of Ruth and Esther doing God's will, whatever the cost. And we still are in You Can't Run Away. This is our third part, but also the end of this first study. This is your pastor, Yadi. So today we're going to talk about bitterness, blaming God for our trials. And you can read that in Ruth chapter 1, the verses 19 to 22. Well, I will read them for you too. So if you want to listen to them, I'm very grateful. So the two women went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the women exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" "Don't call me Naomi," she told them. "Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Almighty has brought misfortune upon me." So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. The two widows probably visits the three graves of their loved ones for last time before leaving Moab. Then they committed themselves to the Lord and set out to begin a new life. It will be interesting to know what Naomi and Ruth talked about as they journeyed from Moab to Bethlehem. Did Naomi give her daughter-in-law some basic instruction in the law of Moses? Did Ruth ask questions about the Jewish faith? The Jewish people had a new home in Bethlehem. We wonder what kind of answers Naomi would have given, since she was a bitter woman with a flattering faith in the God of Israel. Naomi had been away from home for 10 years, and the women of town were shocked when they saw her. The pronoun of "they said" is feminine. Their question is, this Naomi suggests both surprises and bewilderment. The name Naomi means pleasant, but she was not living up to her name. She was not the Naomi who they had known a decade before. Her 10 difficult years in Moab and the sorrows they had brought had taken their toll on Naomi's appearance and personality. Instead of making her better, the trials of life had made her bitter, which is the meaning of the word Mara. We can't control the circumstances of life, but we can control how we respond to them. And I'm not saying that easy. I'm not using easy words to hush it. Not at all. That's what faith is all about. Daring to believe that God is working everything for our good, even when we don't feel like it or see it happening. In everything, give thanks. Isn't always easy to obey. But obeying this command is the best antidote against a bitter and critical spirit. Because Naomi was imprisoned by selfishness, she was bitter against God. To begin with, she accused the Lord of dealing very bitterly with her. She had left Bethlehem with a husband and 2 sons and had come home without them. She had gone to Moab, possessing the necessities of life, but now she had returned home having nothing. She was a woman with empty hands, an empty home, and an empty heart, because she didn't surrender to the Lord and accept His loving chastening. She did not experience the peaceful fruit of righteousness. Not only had the Lord dealt bitterly with her, but He had also testified against her in these afflictions. Is this Naomi's confession of sin, her admission that she and her family had sinned in going to Moab? Is she hidden that they deserved, that they had suffered? Twice Naomi called God the Almighty, which is the Hebrew name El Shaddai, the all-powerful one. It's one thing to know God's name and quite something else to trust that name and allow God to work in the difficult situations of life. And those who know your name will put their trust in you, for you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Naomi knew the name but did not exercise the faith. But was Naomi really the poor and empty? Or was she simply exaggerating her situation because she was weary of body and bitter of soul? Just think of the resources she had that should have encouraged her. For one thing, she had life, and this in itself is a precious gift from God, a gift we too often take for granted. Naomi left 3 graves back in Moab, but God, in His goodness, had kept her alive and brought her back to Bethlehem. Fear not that your life shall come to an end, said John Henry Newman, but rather that it shall never have a beginning. Naomi thought that life had ended for her, but her trials were really a new beginning. Naomi's faith and hope were about to die, but God had other plans for her. Naomi not only had life, but she also had opportunities. She was surrounded by friends, all of whom wanted the very best for her. Her sorrow and bitterness isolated her from the community, but gradually that changed. Instead of sitting and looking gloomily at a wall, she finally decided to look out the window. And then she got up and opened the door. When the night is the darkest, if you look up, we can still see the stars. One of Naomi's richest resources was her daughter-in-law, Ruth. In fact, it is Ruth whom God used and blessed throughout the rest of this book. For Ruth was a woman who trusted God and was totally committed to Him. Naomi soon learned that God's hand of blessing was on this young woman and that He would accomplish great things through her obedience. But most of all, Naomi still had Jehovah, the God of Israel. The Lord is mentioned about 25 times in this brief book, for He is a chief actor in this drama, whether Naomi realizes it or not. I firmly believe in divine providence. Without it, I think I should go crazy. Without God, the world will be a maze without a clue. When we fear God, we need not fear anything else. On his deathbed, John Wesley said, "Best of all, God is with us. God is not only with us, but He is also for us. And if God be for us, who can be against us?" It was barely harvest when the 2 widows arrived in Bethlehem, a time when the community expresses joy and praise to God for His goodness. It was spring, a time of new life and a new beginning. Naomi was about to make a new beginning. For with God, it's never too late to start over again. Are you trusting God for your new beginning? After all, with God at your side, your resources are far greater than your burdens. Stop staring at the wall and by faith, get up and open the door to a brand new tomorrow. My dear ones, this was the end of You Can't Run Away in 3 parts. I hope you still enjoy it, because this is a very deep and understandable study and so much usable for our own personal life. Blessings to all of you, my dear ones, and we meet each other for the chapter 2, and that will be the study of the greatest of these. We start then in Ruth chapter 2. Blessings to all of you, my dear ones. This is your Pastor Yeti. I love you guys. Bye.